I'm excited to be here. I had a moment of expectation that everyone participating on the call would be, hailing from Canada, and only to find out right out of the gate, it is this international crew. So that's exciting. I think if there could be one goal for our conversation today, it would be to take away, just to take away one thing, one concept, maybe an action or activity that you would commit to adding to your business. I think overall what we'd like to cover a little bit on, and I say we because it is a we, we're agreeing to be here together. But I'd like to cover a few aspects on lead generation, on skill set, more on the soft line of skill set versus hard skills, soft skills as opposed to hard skills, which I'll get into. And then the most important thing as to mindset. So those are the three pillars that we'll touch to in the next short stint that we have together, and then punctuated or seasoned, peppered in terms of the dialogue. Irene, feel free at any time to stop and to lead me if I need to be led into a different direction, if you want to go deeper into a particular area.
Sure.
So for those maybe who don't know me, my name is Andrea Leslie. I know there was a little bit of a bio on me. What can I tell you about me? I love the business of real estate. I'm extremely passionate about providing, I think, an ultimate real estate experience, both for the people that I work with, the colleagues of my industry, our industry, as well as the clients for which that we have the great opportunity to serve. I always think of us as we're really just well-paid servants when we do our job the way that we're supposed to. Today, as I'm looking at the bottom of my screen, we all know that the calendar date is December the 9th, 2020. And however, for all of us in real estate, it's actually the last month of the first quarter. So what do I mean by that? Today in our world of real estate, it's really March the 9th, 2021. What we do today shows up to benefit us 90 days from today. So that's what we know fundamentally. So as we're sitting here, of course, I definitely need to wish you all, your happy new year, because we've already crested over that, right? Holiday season is kind of like behind us, and we're into the first quarter. And it's so important as to really, how you're setting up your first quarter for your business, how you're setting up your pipeline, how you're setting up to successfully propel yourself, for having what I would want for all of you, just simply have a magnificent 2021. I think that we all deserve it. I really, truly do. I think that we globally deserve to have a magnificent 2021. So first off, I think too, it's easy to recognize that the holiday season is upon us. Again, calendar date is the calendar date. And many people are taking time off, right? And they're also, a lot are concerned around what lead generation activities might be, number one, best appropriate during holiday time period, and also number two, most effective. So what would be best appropriate and most effective around holiday time period? Irene, for me, December stands for database. It's an incredible opportunity to review all of your contacts and to ensure that all of their information is up to date and correct. If you did nothing more than to touch and clean your database during December, I would consider that a win. I would absolutely consider that a win. And I would further promote that win if you were importing that same database into an effective CRM. We know that the fortune is in the follow-up. So having crisp, clean, wonderful data, and then importing it into an effective CRM, and then imparting a touch program. That would be, I think, just if that were one thing that you would be committed to doing right now at this point of the year, that would set you up, I think, unequivocally so for a stupendous 2021.
Andrea, just before you leave that thought, one of the first things you said was just get to it and clean it up. Can you embellish that a little bit and just tell us what you mean?
Sure. I think that holiday season also allows for us to get right and real and honest with our database. And by that, I mean, now is the best time to make, of course, care calls. It is the holiday season. We want to bring joy and well wishes to the people that will be in our database. And along with doing that affords us the luxury opportunity. When I say that, the opportunity to ensure, hey, Irene, I have this as your current address. Is that accurate? I have your email address as being this, or would you prefer an alternative? Right now is the time, of course, that Irene, I am going to send you a card. What address would you like to receive that card to? And I like to do handwritten notes. Handwritten notes to me are never out of style. So it's an opportunity. What we've talked about, Irene, is that I don't want to restate the obvious. I mean, there's an elephant in the room, and that happens to be COVID. And I think right now, there's two overused words, but they're still very, very applicable. One is pivot. The other is unprecedented. And I think more than ever, people are craving contact. I think that people are absolutely craving contact. I think that this, for many people, is going to be unlike a holiday experience that they've never experienced. What this holiday season is going to look like. Not being able to travel. Many people not being able to travel. Many people not being able to spend with family. So first of all, it's a call of care. And then the second avenue or point embedded within that call is, of course, cleaning up, making fresh the database. Is that what you meant for me to continue
Yeah.
to go on?
Yeah, I think so. Does anybody listen, guys? This is interactive. So if you want to just either put your real or virtual hand up, or if you want to type a question in the chat, I'm going to be monitoring those. So yeah, please, I think whoever's speaking, well, I mean, at least if it's me or Andrea, feel free to interrupt us just so we can make this the most effective for you as well.
Absolutely. I'd love it, because otherwise I'll be doing all the talking all day today. And I'd love to have feedback along the way, as well as to popcorn on ideas, and even save a little bit of time for maybe a mastermind as it relates to takeaways or something that you might be willing to implement, right? So we're all independent contractors and independent business owners on this call. How we practice our book of business could be wildly different. I just want to be able to share with you some of the things and the tactics and techniques that are working very well for our team. And coming from contribution is absolutely one of them during this holiday season. I'm of the opinion that care calls should never go away.
Agreed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting because when we started this whole conversation around care calls, really March, April timeframe, right? Was checking on people. They really, it suddenly became everywhere, calls of care in our business, June, July, August, right? So that was sort of you have to make care calls. Well, I think that they should never go away. I think that now that we've started it, that we should continue it within our book, our kind of in our business, in the way that our outlook of our business is. There is a challenge and opportunity that we've been engaged in within our team here, and it's around aspects of lead generation. And I thought to touch on it as well, because the idea, again, for coming to the call here today was just to present some strategies, some aspects on skill set, mindset, lead gen. And this kind of taps into lead generation, right? The things that we've been talking about up to now, even with care calls and database, that's still rooted in lead gen. Database is in fact tied to lead generation. So going back to, as well as to what's appropriate during this time, one of the things that we've been doing as a team is what started as the 5-5-5 challenge for us. And we started it as a challenge, and then we decided, we started it just for 7 days. And we actually decided it was working so well. And we started it in October. We've just kept it going. We've kept it going, and we're probably going to continue it forward. And I'll explain exactly what it is, because it really breaks down bite-sized pieces as it relates to making contacts in your day. So the 5-5-5 challenge is to basically have 15 conversations daily. And it starts with finding 5 people in your phone that aren't in your database and call them. 1, to touch base with them, and 2, to provide a piece of value, generally specific to the real estate market. I like to use what we call in Keller Williams the lore, or the language of real estate. I find that to be incredibly powerful. I find that as well, consumers in general are fascinated by velocity of sales and their own property value. They're knowing where their property comparables are, where their property is valued at, is important for them to know. So I find that including that inside of a care call can be incredibly effective. So the first bracket of the 5, find 5 people in your phone, not in your database, to talk with them. The second thing, which I found was really fascinating and very, very effective, find 5 people on social media. So find 5 people on social media as well, including Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Those are the ones for which that you can capture communication of exchanges. So, and then private message them a message of care as well. Again, some aspect of language of real estate as it relates to what would be of value for them. And then the third 5 is to call 5 past clients or people in your database as well to have a similar or same conversation. So if I just add those 5, 5, 5, and 5 up, that's 15 conversations a day. So 15 conversations, if you're adding in 15 conversations a day, and really working to master that 5 days a week. And 15 is much more chewable than saying, hey, we want you to make 50 contacts a day or 100 contacts a day. This is, I like the aspect of chunking it down in a very simple way.
Manageable pieces, right?
Manageable pieces, and also you can break them up. You can say, this is the time of day that I'm going to do this 5 calls. This is the time that I'm going to do my social media. This is the time that I'm going to go back through and I'm going to do my past clients. So you can break it up in the day, should you wish to. And again, it becomes manageable and it becomes more enjoyable. That's what we've found through our team. I think right now too, it's the 5-5-5, I think, is easy to remember. And it also doesn't have so much pressure to it. Excuse me. Doesn't have so much pressure to it. I think right now too, if we're talking about and being real, talking about COVID fatigue, I think it's kind of hit us all. So I think that putting pressure on ourselves and our business might not be the best for us right now. And I'm speaking of myself as well within that. So I like to do things that have manageability to them. I like to do things that are as well kind for me and my own business, to myself.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that you said recently, Andrea, is, what is the best form of lead gen? And it is the one that you're going to commit to. And, we especially this year, because it's just been so upside down, we keep hearing lead generate. And, for some people, it isn't manageable. They'd rather just like not even do anything, because the expectations could be so great. Oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. And because they don't feel like they can meet that sort of self-imposed limit or minimum, then they're not going to do anything at all. Whereas little chunks, like you said, 5-5-5, I mean, who can't do 5?
Yeah. And I think, And even if the 5 is kind of daunting, start with 1. Right? You know, it's starting with 1. And I've been in the real estate industry, I'll be coming into 26 years in 2021. And it's never about quantity, it's about quality. So it's about the quality of your contacts. It's about the quality of the conversations that you have. Right? So it's just reaching 1 and starting there and reaching 1. And, you know, Irene, thank you for writing that down, because it is true. You know, when people ask the question, what's the best form of lead generation? Authentically, it's the one that you're willing to commit to, because the one that you're willing to commit to is the one that you're going to do. It's not the one that a manager is going to tell you, go do this. That doesn't necessarily work. If you don't like being on the phone might not work for you. There's some people that have incredible, you know, I believe we do better face to face, eye to eye, belly to belly. And what do I mean by that? There's a gentleman that I have the wonderful opportunity to work with, and his name is Bob Lucido, and he says, he's got a lot of humor to him. He says to me, Andrea, the hardest thing to get rid of is a body. And I was like, okay, Bob, tell me more. When you're eye to eye, face to face, belly to belly with someone, and you're having a conversation, you're actively listening as well, which we're going to get into as it relates to soft skills. It's very hard for them to reject you when you're in front of them. So the more that we can do to get ourselves in front of people, the higher the opportunity is that we can convert them. And convert them, I want to make sure that I'm clear in what I mean by that. Convert them as it relates to best representation of them, right? So my thought is that we would all be here in this room because we're all committed to providing our rendition of what the ultimate real estate experience looks like. That we want to care about our people and provide them incredible service so that we can continue to win even more referral opportunities from them. I think the highest and best in our industry have a high percentage point of repeat and referral because of the reputation that they've built. And it starts with 1. So it just starts with 1. And that goes back again to chunking it down, bite-sized, manageable. So I do want to touch on a little bit of skill set, and I'm going to look at the clock as well as we're continuing forward, because I do want to be mindful and respectful of your time, because it's a gift. It's precious to me. I want to touch on soft skills. I think there's a lot of, again, focus on hard skills. Well, hard skills to me are teachable skills, right? So hard skills are what it takes to write a contract. Soft skills are something different. Soft skills are almost, I'm pausing for a moment because I want to catch the right phraseology here. Those are the traits that kind of show up in etiquette, communication, listening, getting along with people. And as I look back on some studies through Georgetown University as it relates to continuing education of real estate, which I happen to be a fan of, the first trait, the first soft skill that ranks the highest is communication. And you would probably all know that, right? You're not going to get fired for over communicating. You're not going to get fired for being an incredible communicator. And also, it's interesting because effective communication is rooted in 3 things. So 55% of effective communication shows up in body language. 55% shows up in body language. 38% shows up in tonality. 7% shows up in word choice, the words that you use. So tone is actually more effective than language, than the word choice, than the words that you choose to use. But here's the wonky thing right now. We're sitting here in a virtual environment. So really, effective communication, that 55% of body language, well, it's not that it doesn't exist anymore, but it's diminished. You know, it's harder for me I'm trained, for example, in mirroring and matching. It's hard for me if I lean in, that might not be so appealing, you know, on the camera. So it's interesting to see how in this virtual domain, the ways in which we communicate and our effectiveness change. Tonality actually becomes more important. So your tonality resonates. So, and as well to hearing people in their tonality, you can hear when people are upset or afraid or scared. You can hear when people are confident and happy. So it's a very interesting arena, yet the soft skill of communication is ranked as number one, as being, if we work on that to get to the highest level, we will actually be awarded more opportunities, more assignments in winning business. The second trait that is said to be the most important is active listening. So active listening is not listening to respond. It's listening and authentically listening. Through authentic listening alone and active listening, by virtue of that alone, you can just in being quiet help to resolve conflict. And you can actually help the person who's speaking even inspire their own fresh ideas. Have you ever noticed that if you're sitting and you're just listening to someone, suddenly they start finding their own solutions? That's high level active listening. That's just being present with someone. And I always find that just blows me away. And then the super cool thing is then they thank you for providing the solution to their problem. They thank you for providing the solution to their problem, but really all you've done is just engage them in active listening. So it's quite unique. The third thing is on the high level of the soft side of things, the soft skill set is our social cues. They're embedded in social cues. I affectionately call this KYC, know your client. Know your client as it relates to their cultural backgrounds and differences in advance. I call this too the power of social media. I bet you all didn't know that you had to be private investigators of real estate. So social media has afforded us this way to sort of peer into other people and know what's going on with them. It also allows us, though, to prepare for social cues in our presentation. The fourth soft skill in the ranking is negotiation. Negotiation is very powerful, but it's not as powerful as effective communication. Negotiation, I sum it up as a soft skill, is recognizing the deal from both sides to be able to effectively navigate a win-win. The buyer wants to buy, a seller wants to sell. It still has to be mutually beneficial for it to be a deal, for it to be a win-win, and there's negotiation that goes in on that. The fifth soft skill that I continue to work on is patience. Because you know me. So patience with our clients and our colleagues will always pay us dividends. When we commit to stay the course and provide service at a high level and add patience, again, season it with patience, we'll win more opportunities across the board. And number 6, which is a unique one, and it's kind of subject to interpretation, it's tactfulness. Often a real estate professional serves to be a peacemaker. And if you think about that for a moment, you really need to be a peacemaker if you're sitting in between a husband and a wife who are getting a divorce. So tactfulness, and also too, we have to deliver news sometimes. That's not what is desired by both buyer or seller. So we have to sometimes share news with a buyer that their offer wasn't accepted. We have to share news with a seller that despite them not taking our advice to align with a price point that is comparable and they wanted a higher price point, we're going to bring them a lower offer. We have to do that with tact. So those are the top ranking skills of the soft skill set. And I have a great appreciation for those because I believe that hard skills can always be learned and trained, but the soft skill set is one that I think eclipses even hard skills. So I'll pause there. Any comments back on that?
I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
If somebody's wondering what they can do to work on one of these soft skills where perhaps they see a gap in themselves, how would you suggest they do that?
Well, one of the first elements that I am an advocate for is if it's possible for you to get a coach, get a coach. Because a coach will work you through elements of this. A coach will work you through a great coach is going to work with you on NLP, is going to work with you on neuro-linguistic programming. A great coach is going to work with you as well, even on your delivery of scripts, so that your tonality is there. A great coach is going to work with you on the art of negotiation. So that would be one element of it. Another thing too, I mean, can you teach tact? Sure, you can. I think it involves more though there are even courses that are available that talk about that go through these skills. So I think my first thing would say, get a coach if you can afford one, and in the event that you can't. Look for other like-minded people or people who are already performing at a higher level than you. That's one of the things that I look for. I love to have conversations with people who are performing at a higher level or highest levels, and find those that are willing to come from contribution and to share with you what it is that they're doing in their practice of real estate that's allowing them to achieve these results. But I think, again, I'll repeat, and it wasn't because I was joking with it. I mean, I truly believe you'll never get fired for over communication. It's the agents who under communicate who get canned, because they just don't know how to handle particular situations that oftentimes involve tact.
Yeah, and often when a client calls you for something, you've missed the opportunity to head that question or concern off at the pass. They shouldn't be calling you for anything. You should always be letting them know what has happened, what is happening, and what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was thinking about, what's the secret of this business, right? We know there's no magic pill, right? We definitely know that. The secret, though, this is a quote by Keith Cunningham, who has the ear of Gary Keller. And it's something that I wrote down recently when I heard him speaking, which is ordinary things consistently done deliver extraordinary results.
Yeah.
And I found that to be so simple and so profound and so powerful. This goes back to, again, what your communication practices even look like. And you think about it for a moment. Think about this for just 1 second. Conceptualize it for me. How deliberate we are and purposeful we are communicating with clients when we're in a transaction with them. Could you imagine if we kept that line of communication going with them when we were out of transaction with them, when we were over transaction? Like, that would be something to aspire to do. Because I guarantee you that would get such incredible high level results. And then, of course, Irene, you would say to me, but there isn't enough time in the day. Well, that leads us into, what we're going to talk about next, I hope, which is mindset, and as well through calendarization. And before I do, jump over into aspects of mindset, because mindset is something that we can, I can certainly talk about for a really long time. It's something that I work on daily. Irene, too, one of the things that I've shared with you and I've shared with the team that I'm associated with, in my calendar, I have 3 brackets. I'm either working on an aspect of skill set, mindset, or I'm working on lead generation. And if I'm not working on one of those things, I'm not in my business. I'm doing something else. And so it's prudent for me to let all of you know that I have, I'm calendarized in my day. And again, I'll just restate, my time blocks are either lead gen activities, which include follow-up. They're in skill set activities, being learning based, and or mindset activities. And that's it. When I walk around with my team, before we were officing from home, I would walk around to my team and they would be at their desks and I would tap them on the shoulder and I say, would you share with me what you're working on? Are you working on skill set? Are you working on mindset? Are you working on lead gen? And it was just a reminder for them to come back to point. So how do I do that in my day now? Is that I typically start my mornings with the savers. And for those of you who don't know what the savers are, this is a derivative, came from The Miracle Morning for Real Estate Agents. It's a book that's written by Hal Elrod. And the savers for me starts, and the savers for him, as he's written, stand for, it's an acronym. So S is for silence, A is for affirmations, V is visualization, E is exercise, R is reading, S is scribing or journaling. And that's how I start my day. I don't start my day with technology. The reason why I don't start my day with technology, if you immediately go to your phone, if you immediately go to your computer, you actually are giving your attention to reacting to that device. So it's actually programming you to be reactive. So who controls your day if you're reactive? The outside does.
Everybody else.
Everybody else.
A few words from Hal.
A few words from Hal.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to get the last two, the R and the S in the savers.
Okay, so again,
Silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise,
reading,
scribing
/ journaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed an S, and he even says it. He said he wrote scribing. He's like journaling.
Yeah. I just put that in the chat for everybody. That's great. You know, for those of you that don't know, the Miracle Morning is just the first things that you do when you wake up to make sure that you are healthy and productive and are your best self.
It's interesting too, Irene, because a lot of people, again, do kind of self-impose or project what they think that means. So it's like, oh my God, like I have to stay in silence for an hour. How long do I have to do these affirmations for? Exercising, like I just don't have all this time. No, it starts with just minutes. It's just awareness. The silence is just awareness in the morning. You know, affirmations, you know, whether it's that, you know, I'm an opportunity magnet, could even be that. You know, I'm a listing giant, if you want to assign it to your business. Anything that you want to assign as it relates to, in my world, I love anything that's rooted in prosperity. Because prosperity has so many defining elements to it. Prosperity doesn't just start and end with wealth. You can have health, you know, or start and end with wealth. Prosperity is aligned too with health and well-being. Visualization, just a couple of minutes of visualization. I do a lot of meditation and motion as well. So that's, I can even combine certain things together. But doing the savers, and Hal even jokes about it too. He said, I didn't say exercise for 2 hours. You know, get up, do jumping jacks, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, touch your toes, walk around the block. You know, it's just getting your body, being in touch with your body. And so the savers, that sets me up for a day of happiness and success. If I immediately go to my phone and I go in a reactive mode, I'm a slave to everybody else in the day.
Like that.
And I don't want to do that. I want to run the day. And you know, what I do know too, and I know this, it's not just what I think, it's what I know. If you own your morning, you own the day. If you own your day, you own the week. If you own the week, you own the month. When you own the month, you own the year. It gives you such power. It's just an incredible feature. I also incorporate, which has been incredibly helpful for me, especially too from officing from home base. I have accountability. I have an internal accountability meter. Not quite sure how I got it. I feel that I'm blessed to have it. However, I've found that since being at home, larger blocks of time have become more difficult for me because I have home distraction. So home distraction comes up, and even if it's you know the neighbors that are working on their house, it's going to be beautiful, but it's distracting. So I incorporate hit blocks. So high intensity interval time blocks. Now, what does that mean? I do short blocks in my calendar. I generally do 55-minute blocks, kind of like therapy. So I do a 55-minute session, and then I take a break for 5 minutes and I check myself. I want to make sure that I'm maintaining the same level of, you know, energy and enthusiasm before I go on to the next conversation that I'm going to have. Not every conversation is a positive conconversation. So I do need a moment to come back, center myself before I go on to make the next one. So I find that 55-minute blocks really work well. They keep, you know, my headspace, my energy. And then also too, I'm gentle with myself. If you need to take a break, take a break. You're not effective tired. You know, it's interesting too, because, you know, in my study of continuing to reread a book by Jay Papasan and Gary Keller called The One Thing, one aspect that it always gets me every time I get to it is willpower is not on will call.
Yeah, it's so true. So true.
And what you find too is like when you start your day, your energy's high, right? So it's not natural for your energy to continue to go up, to crest up during the day. It actually starts at a high point and has a tendency to come down unless you are taking this break time to keep your energy high. I also set up my calendar. I imagine, like many of you who you know, many of you here on this call, I practice eat that frog.
Yeah.
So I like to do the hard thing first. I love to end my day with what are quote unquote the easier things, even though there's nothing really easy. I mean, it's just, this real estate is simple. It's not easy. Again, it comes back to ordinary things consistently done that deliver extraordinary results. So that's an aspect of mindset. And I do want to continue to stay in the vein that's real. Mindset is everything in this business. You know, that is, and you have to mine, M-I-N-E, your mind. So you have to mine your own mind to make sure that you're in the right space for this. We've got so many exterior outside factors, and so many people, we've chosen a business where so many people depend on us. And so while other people are having ups and downs through all of the reasons of life, we've chosen the profession to show up and to be there with consistency for them. So the consistency for them, that they look at us to be consistent as it relates to our behavior and our level of professionalism. So that means we don't get to do that. They get to do that, and we have to stay in our character, and truly our character, because our character defines us.
Keeping the emotions between the lines, right?
Yep. And so the other thing too is, like, you know, our market is forever shifting. The reality is our market is forever shifting. And its success is actually rooted in the basics. So it's 100% rooted in the basics, and yet our market continues to shift. And it's important for us to make sure that we're hyper vigilant to, are we doing the basics? So I've talked to some of the highest level producers in our industry. And one of the things that they have consistently in common is that they actually refer to it when markets have been shifting to this degree. And I would say that the last major shift that we had was in 2008. When markets shift, it becomes doubling down on the basics, and the basics of conversations, or in other words, lead generation and follow-up. We talk about the fortune being in the follow-up. So many of us in this industry, and I truly believe that it is. But in order to be able to follow up, you have to be systematized. So you have to be systematized in your follow-up. If you're consistently making, let's just say, because I want to use round numbers, it's after 2 o'clock, and after 2 o'clock, my math brain starts to diminish a little bit. I'm honest. So let's say we did 20 contacts a day and we're working a five day work week, right? And by the way, again, you all are your own business owners. So that means you set your business hours. So when you look at your calendar, those are the business hours that you've decided that you're going to be open for. So let's say that you're doing 20 contacts a day, 5 days a week. That means you're making 100 contacts. If you're not systematized after week 4, how do you intend to follow up with those 400? What then becomes 400? Now, we have a 10% rule in the industry as it relates to database. And you probably, I would imagine that many of you know this. The 10% rule is that you have a 10% rate of conversion on your own database. So if you have a database of, if you're new to the industry and you're starting out, I've got a database of 100, which is a minimum standard to even come onto my team. You have to show up with a database of 100, because we know from that 100, the 10% rule, that within 1 year, we should be able to put into motion a touch program to be able to convert 10% or 10 transactions. So now when you start to develop over time, if you've got a database that is 500, the reality is that you should be converting 50 transactions from a database of 500. Now, the only way that you can convert that is if you're systematized. And systematized as it relates to not dehumanized touches. You have your own touches, but then you have touches that your CRM would be able to deliver. So back to basics, hyper-vigilant. This is again, such a unique time. And I think this is a time too, where, dare I say it, many of our colleagues of the industry have not had an amazing year. I think many of our colleagues through this experience of COVID might not come through where they expected. Where does that leave us? That leaves us with enormous opportunity to capture more of the inventory that's available in the market. And we know too that when you have inventory, you have more control in the market. And I'll pause there. It's 2:50, and I want to make sure that I leave time for any, interplay or any questions or things like that.
Thank you, Irene, for putting all of this.
Don't everybody talk at once.
Yeah, it's great. Andrea, you're just,
Who is that? Who's speaking? I can't see who's speaking.
I am Anna Marie.
Who's talking? Oh, Anne-Marie. Sorry.
That's okay. Right next to you.
Yeah.
And Andrea, you're just awesome. Thank you. Thank you both for this. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh,
well, it's great having you here.
Thank
yeah,
you.
you're so very welcome. It's lovely. I thought for a minute I put everyone to sleep.
No, well, we're doing that sort of Canadian thing. We're all very quiet and polite. I think that last thing you said, Andrea, is just so accurate, because I mean, we don't want to be judging anybody, because everybody's been taking this year differently, but there are much like restaurateurs and salons that will never recover. There will be real estate agents that never recover. The ones that did not put things into place proactively to take themselves to even just through, never mind, advance. And we always say the market share you gain and shift, you don't lose, and what you lose, you never gain back.
Right. And yes, it's astounding, the amount of businesses that will not recover. It's also, I mean, I'm very sensitive to small businesses because I believe I'm a small business. And it's when there's an opportunity to as well give back inside of your own local community, that's really comes high on my list. While I have appreciation, I'll be diplomatic, while I have appreciation for the Walmarts maybe of the world, I have a greater appreciation, I think, for the small business owner. So where I can come and work to make a difference, even if it's spotlighting businesses in my community on my Facebook page, or supporting a local restaurant, even with takeout, because they are part of my community, that's what I'm doing. As well as it relates to, I think there are people in our industry, colleagues too, that might bode well for a change if they're not working inside of Keller Williams. That's number one, because I'm going to say it again carefully, not knowing all of my audience. However, what our stats are coming out as a company are unparalleled as it relates to what we've done in terms of the growth of business through this year. We're not just surviving here, we're absolutely thriving.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's something to potentially, consider. I love being a student of this industry and continuing to learn. I love continuing to grow as well back home in Canada. So that's been a lot of fun. And yeah. So any other comments or observations, or does anybody want to go any deeper or ask any questions?
So we'll wait to see if any light bulbs light up. But Andrea, one of the things that I would really love for you to repeat to the group is just a little teeny tiny bit of scripting, and it's that positive no that you had mentioned to me. Because I think, even though, as you say, the words are only 7% of communication these days, because we lose so much not being in front of somebody, we really have to choose those words carefully and maybe increase the percentage of the effectiveness of those words. And I love that positive note. So please share.
Okay, positive no is an element of psychology. Now, if I just want to again conceptualize, if you're being the right word isn't solicited, but if you're being approached by someone, especially in a sales approach, because let's be frank and honest, that's what we are. We're sales and marketing professionals delivering the ultimate real estate experience. But when we're talking to someone to win their business, often people are programmed that they want to deliver a no, right? They would like to say no. There's a psychological aspect of saying no. If you have a telemarketer who calls you, the first things that you want to do is get off the phone with them. So it's you want to, are you interested? You just want to get off the phone. So one of the aspects that we've been using now for a few months that has been incredibly effective, and it's been incredibly effective in the luxury market, which is unique, is having a conversation with a potential seller of asking them a question. Would it pose a problem for you if I brought you an offer for top dollar for your property? Now, they already want to say no to us, but what now they're saying is a variation, which is it's what's called or framed as a positive no. Would it pose a problem for you, Irene, if I brought you an offer for your property at top dollar?
No.
Great. That actually leads me forward into the conversation to be able to say, so let's do this. Why don't we set an appointment to review what the most optimal price, terms, conditions, and commission might look like? If I ever, by the way, if you're ever in a conversation with me and I immediately move to the PTCC in the conversation, which is terrific. When we meet, we'll review the your optimal price, terms, condition, and commission. That basically tells you I'm coming over with a listing agreement, because those are the core content of a listing agreement. I'm setting you up already with the expectation that that's what I'm going to be delivering in part of the presentation. So the effect of a positive no. So would it pose a problem for you? Another one that gets people time after time is, didn't I catch you at a bad time? Think about it. Didn't I catch you at a bad time? No. Wait a second. It's confusing for a split second. It stops the reticular activator. And actually people will sometimes give a chuckle. Didn't I catch you at a bad time? No. Great. I continue the conversation. It's just slight variation. So yes, it's a bit of wordsmithing, but it's the power of positive no. Would it pose a problem for you? Now, another thing, you know, and again, I'm coming from the US bracket right now of doing the majority of business. And, you know, when a property is languished on the market and I have an opportunity to have a conversation with a seller, I asked them the question, have you given up on selling your property? More times than not, the answer is no. It's like, have you reached your potential? No. It allows for an opportunity. It continues the opening within the conversation to keep the conversation going. So it's the power of the positive no. It's been very effective.
No, that's fantastic. From the time you said that to me, I've been waiting for an opportunity to use it. I might start using it on my kids. They're teenagers, right?
Right. Let me know how that works. Probably.
I'll try. Yeah, Donna, thank you. Make those care calls. Absolutely best lead gen and showing character and feel good activity. Absolutely. And, you know, just going back to the supporting local businesses, you're doing a good thing for the business. You're doing a good thing because it makes you feel good, like you're doing something for someone. And people notice. People really, really notice. We do have a, sorry, we've got some background noise here somewhere. We do have people, I love the line, people like to lurk, because people do go through social media very often not commenting or responding to what you're doing, but they are, they're always the silent watchers. It's true, because they are watching what you're doing and they're listening to what you're doing and they're reading what you're posting, even if they don't act on it. And we on our team have, since the summer, initiated a campaign. We're both on Instagram and Facebook. We're promoting a local business every week. We're doing the Small Business Saturdays. We put out a call to our farm and to our database. We had a contest about it. So we have a lot of businesses that people wanted to support. And while I was doing my calendar drop-offs through November and early December, I had a lot of people say, you know, thank you for supporting the community. And those are people that have never interacted with us otherwise. So yeah, you have to keep doing what you know is right, and make sure that you do take out from whatever restaurants will do it, and do the post. You go to a great spot, then post about it. Ask your clients who they want to support. Post about it. People will appreciate it.
And there's, and Donna writing, coming from contribution. Yes, absolutely coming from contribution. Other things some other tactics that have worked that also have a byproduct of, it's a kind of byproduct of support, but it's still, I consider it a tactic, if you do an online sort of survey or competition, so the first one who guesses correctly, right? So if you're taking a listing, Irene, and you give a snapshot as to guess the list price,
Yeah.
and the first person who guesses wins. If it's Tuesday, they win the a partner of mine was doing it. They win the Taco Tuesday gift card, and all they need to do is call and say the name because it's already prepaid, and then they can have their tacos delivered or whatever. But there's so many ways that you can layer up within that business spotlights. I think business spotlights, again, we have to think of ourselves as community ambassadors. So we're ambassadors of the community. We're small business owners. And it's so important that we're supporting and being present in our local community, and even just stopping for a moment and doing, a live Facebook, and bringing awareness. Because what ends up happening as a byproduct, you actually pick up all of the friends or fans of that establishment when you tag the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they end up asking to friend you, and that grows your constituency on your social media. So it's another way. So you're supporting, and again, the byproduct is you're growing your data.
I have to double check to make sure we're doing that. Well, Andrea, that's been awesome. I know that there was people that couldn't make it today for various reasons, and they're anxiously waiting for the recording. So thank you very much for your time. I could probably listen to you all day, but not everybody else has that time, I think. Any closing questions or comments? Oh, Michelle, hey, nice to see you. We're logging off. Anybody else have anything to ask or say? Any ahas? Anything you learned? Like, I mean, I've got so many notes here. Anything that really struck you guys? Like, we can always learn from each other. So is there anything that anybody wants to share that was really important to them in the last hour?
You know what? I'll say something, even though I'm a bad person and I came late because I was booking appointments for somebody who wanted to see something last minute. I was showing them later today. That's my poor excuse, and I'm going to stick to it, is I've learned that beginning with the end in mind is really a good thing. I did an interesting mindset thing like a couple of weeks ago, which had me, and we probably have all done this before in bold, but think about how I wanted my end of year to look like, my 3-year, my 5-year, and my 10-year. And that helped me at the beginning of 2020 structure my year better. I'm still working on myself in a whole lot of ways, time block wise and paperwork wise and stuff, but it definitely helped me become more motivated and follow through. And this has been, I mean, I just joined back to Keller Williams this year, and I joined Portfolio, and it's been a really great year. And I thank everybody from the team because they've been so supportive. And honestly, big time.
Yay.
We love having you, Michelle.
So grateful. Happy to say that. Happy to say it's been a great year, and I'm happy to be back.
Oh,
Michelle,
awesome.
I think then you would agree, without me even knowing you, that environment matters. So who you're spending your time with, right? It also matters. And so being in an organization that as well is not going to let you dip out on your goals. One of the things that I think I might have in common with Irene, she might do it at a higher level than even I do. If you share with me what your goals are, if I share with her what my goals are, she's not going to let me dip out on them. So she'll keep reminding me of what I said that I wanted to do, and if I really wanted to do it.
That's
right?
true.
It is true, right? So, and ultimately you're not going to care how much I know until you know how much I care. And that often starts with my team. On my team is if they are, if they're feeding their families the way that they would like to, if they're caring for their families the way that they would like to, right? It starts there. We're in a real business, and it is about having, you reference bold, it is business objective, a life by design. And it's also really, truly, if we want it, we are in an organization, and you yourself are in an environment where you've got people that care around you, and also that we have the highest level systems and models at our disposal and discretion to use. So I would say take advantage to them for sure. Okay, thanks everybody.
That's awesome, Andrea.
Thanks, Andrea.
I can't wait to give you a hug in person. Thanks everybody for being here.
Bye.
Hope we can help you.
Good afternoon.
Bye. Hey, Janice, you want to hang in for a sec?
I can't leave.
You can't leave?
I keep trying.
You just have to be here.
Irene, have you like held me hostage because I'm not making?
No, I'm not touching anything. Just want to bring
You're just gonna hang out with us all day. I did want to say how lovely your hair looks today.
Oh, thank you. It's just, it's.
Did you put it up?
I did.
Oh, it
Yeah.
looks so nice.
It was just long and unruly, so I just tucked it up.
I'm such a mess.
Thank you.
I give up. I will keep trying to leave here. I don't know what. Oh, there we go. No, I've pressed leave.
Irene has the best lipsticks.
know.
Do you know what? I made a commitment at the beginning of this year before COVID hit that for the balance of the year, I would not buy one more lipstick or one more nail polish. And of course, then COVID hit and it didn't really matter. I did last through the middle of November. I did buy a nail polish in the middle of November. I did. Just one.
I have not done my nails or my lips in a long time. So you're way ahead of me. One question. Oh, those look good. I don't have to do this thing tomorrow, right? When you said in your email, let's do this tomorrow, earlier today at the ALC about the upping your
Oh, no. We'll talk
that's what
about
I
it tomorrow.
figured. We're just talking about lunch
Yeah.
and learns tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. I was like, I don't have a presentation ready. Okay.
No. We're
Yeah.
We're the retreat.
Hold on, Mia, we're cracking the whip. It's like, this is going to be different this year. You have to perform in less than 24 hours.
Dude, I'm so tired. I was like, well, it'll be really off the cuff. I could make it work though. Okay, good.
Thanks
Yeah.
for considering. Thanks for even considering rolling with the punches.
Yeah. No.
I was
kidding.
totally starting to make notes. I was like, okay. And then I was like, actually, I don't think they would expect that, but
No.
it's fine. I mean, I've just been writing them for other people and I'm like, I'd rather just give them the tools just to do it anyway.
Yeah. No. That's great.
Yeah, thank you for offering.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Bye,
See you
guys.
in the morning.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
So I actually have to run because I still have my technician down here, my internet guy with the move. Did you see Lori's comments? I mean, she's really into that.
I'll call her. I think the last time I talked to her, she was like, yeah, I'm 100 years old. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to retire here. I think, I'm trying to remember my notes. I have to look.
I don't remember her being 100 years old.
Or been in the business for 100 years.
I don't think so.
Maybe I'm confusing her. Too many names.
Yeah.
I'll reach out on this one and I'll just ask a coaching question.
I will reach out to Cindy Daly because she did reply to one of my personal emails yesterday. So I did the big email and then I did personal emails to probably about 20, 25 people, which was the copy that I sent you.
Right. Okay.
So Cindy did reply to that one and said, thanks for the reminder. I'm going to sign up.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Alice and Andres called me a couple days ago on the weekend, and then she's like, "Oh, damn, this is my client. I got to call you back." And then, of course, I never heard from her.
She never does. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So, if Philip told you about, do you know Richard Burton?
Is he married to Jennifer?
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, no, he did. We'll catch up on that later.
Oh, no, because Richard, that's a different one because that Burton, I mean, he's Royal LePage. They're down in the beach, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. No, he's from not Sotheby's, Chestnut Park. And he's from Chestnut Park.
I don't know.
So I replied back. I couldn't resist.
I know, and that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but
It was very polite.
you were. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna run. Can you call Lisa though as well?
Yeah.
She was on there. I think she only signed on at about 2. I love what Andrea said. Like, is she not like so subtle and so straightforward at the same time? Like when she was talking about at the end, she said, I want to be conscious that, not everybody here is Keller Williams, and then, tells everybody how great Keller Williams is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love her. We need to bring her back when we've got more people. And I
got that's my service guy. I got
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get in touch with Cindy. You do Lori and Lisa.
Okay, will do. I'll let you know.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.